Thanks our viewers for joining us, and we disrupt normal programming because we are going to talk about a very special issue that concerns this nation, the aspect concerning the older persons in our country, in the population. We have a very interesting populational demographic dynamic that has a whole lot of young people and of course the middle working range of also people who are winning bread for their homes and people who are supporting all those young ones who are dependent on them, and of course the elderly. And so today we want to put a special spin on the people who are above the age of 60 years in Uganda. And they have an incorporation called the National Council for Older Persons, and it's an act that actually brought that into effect, which is the National Council for Older Persons Act 2013. And here in studio I have a collection of very resplendent citizens of Uganda who are representing this call that actually all of us as Ugandans we need to provide support to the elderly because of the plight and the risks that they face. On my extreme left I have a gentleman called Joram Ranga Tibasimo, actually on my immediate left, who is the chairperson, National Council for Older Persons. You're welcome, Joram.
Thank you.
And at the extreme end, I have John Charles Orach, Publicity and Advocacy Committee Chairperson. John, you're welcome.
Thank you, Baldwin.
And in the middle, I have Patrick Imenya, the Executive Secretary, National Council for Older Persons. Patrick, you're welcome.
Thank you, Baldwin.
I hope this is, I should not conclude that you're all above 60.
We are all.
So let me start with you, Joram. The Act, the 2013 National Council for Older Persons Act, it's an act to provide for the establishment of the council itself, to provide for the objectives, composition and functions of the National Council, to provide for a secretariat for that same council and other staff, and of course many other objectives. So Joram, just give us a special, just a brief on the history of this council, its existence, and the mandate you're trying to fulfill.
Thank you, Baldwin. The National Council for Older Persons came into existence by an Act of Parliament 2013. And since then, the council members have been elected right from the grassroots, from LC1 up to the national level. And this council is there it is a coordinator of activities between the government and government departments and the older persons. It provides that older persons should be catered for in planning, in implementation of issues related to the older persons. Mm-hmm. And here I want to point out that our mandate is to make sure that the old people, the older persons who are 60 years and above, live happily, they are not discriminated against, and nobody is left behind. That's the council, and I want to go on and say the elections took place in 2016 alongside the general elections in this country, where members of the council were elected by the colleges, electoral colleges, provided by, and it was supervised by the Independent Electoral Commission. Mm-hmm. Yes, that's right.
Uganda. Okay, so
Uganda, yes.
Thanks for that synopsis, and we'll come back to it just to get to understand the duties and the function of the council itself. And so let me just get to John. And the life expectancy and age structuring in Uganda is as this, just depending on the United Nations Population Fund statistics, the current one. Uganda's life expectancy is around 58.5 years. That is generally for all gender, but with males it's about 56.7 and 60.5 years for females. 52.4% of the population is between 0 to 14 years. I'm just giving you the structuring of the age. 21.16 is between the age 15 to 24 years. And then 28.43% is between 25 to 64 years, literally the working age realm. And it's only 2% that is a composition of 65 plus. Of course, I'm excluding a bit of 60. So I just need you to help us understand that if you have the entire demographic, literally 98%, not as old, and you only have 2%, why do you feel we need to have a special focus on this 2%, which we would expect that actually should be taken care of generally in the communitarian sense that society has Uganda?
It's interesting, the statistics you brought up, because government circles now are putting the life expectancy at 63. And most programs are saying older persons, Uganda's life expectancy is now 63. Although that is still a very small bracket,
yes.
If you could.
But this is the United Nations Population Fund. So
which was probably done some years back.
No, it's actually current. I apologize for interjecting on that, but it's very current.
Okay.
2018.
Okay. Now, one thing we have to notice is that the Constitution of Uganda recognizes a number of special interest groups: the women, the youth, the children, the persons with disabilities, and finally the older persons. Now, like the chairman said, he used the phrase, leave no one behind. The youth had their national council in 1993. The women had their national council in 1993. The children in 2006. In 2003. The people with disabilities in 2006. But the older persons, 2013. So all this time, where have the older persons been? In the shadows. Now, finally, there is a council, National Council for Older Persons. So we have to play catch-up. We have to move really fast to advance the issues of older persons. That's one. Now, from the small population of older persons, then, globally, older persons is the fastest growing population group. Now, the UN estimates that by 2050, there will be more older persons worldwide than children under 14, the group that we are quoting are the majority in Uganda. So older persons are going to overtake at some point.
Yeah, because if you look at the current age dynamics,
yes.
That means...
So if I can put it in context, at the census of 1991, there were just 686,260 older persons. By 2002, the population had moved to 1,101,039. The last census of 2014, it had gone up to 1,433,305. So you see, within this small population, it has doubled. Now, the same statistics, UBOS, puts the population of the age group 50 to 59 at 1,288,759. By the next census, these people will all have reached the 60 bracket.
Yes.
So the population will have doubled. That is how fast it is going. Now, with such a rapid population growth, it cannot be ignored, both at the individual level, at the family level, at the community level, at the national level, at the international level. So, even internationally, there is a convention for older persons, which is in the OFI. Locally now, in Uganda, nationally, we have had a policy, a national policy for older persons. We have now got the act, and we are even anticipating more legislation to come out to protect the rights of these older persons. Then you might say, why older persons?
Yes, the justifications.
The justifications for that. Now, older persons are really the heads of the families, right, in this country. Without an older person, there is no other age group. They will not be there. So the other age groups exist because the older persons are there. That's one. These older persons, they are the guardians of our traditions and our cultures and our cultural values. These are the ones who ensure social cohesion and resolution of conflicts. And they are the ones who support and care for children, particularly orphans. 63% of orphans and vulnerable children in this country are under the care of older persons. They drive the economy. You know, when the economy of this country depended on cash crops like coffee, cotton, tea, who were growing those crops? It's now the same older persons who are there. The infrastructure that we are building on, the older persons built it.
Yeah, so if they had all that economic clout and foundation, why do we now need to give them special care?
Now we need to give them special care, as you will find out later.
Yes.
It's the systems that used to be in existence.
Yes.
Let's start with...
Okay, yes.
Let's start
We're
with
going to talk about the cultural systems. That I think I preempted. Let me come to Patrick just slightly. Now, Patrick, as all of you are trying to explain, especially the chairperson and John, they help us get now a bit of enumeration of the risks and the vulnerabilities that these elderly people are facing that really are prompting this justification for us to put a special focus on them. Some of those key risks that we've identified and the vulnerabilities that they are facing.
Thank you so much, Bolin. And when we are talking about the older person, you like you have rightly said, this is the age above 60. And at the age of above 60, these persons, any other person, but biologically, growing is a process. So as someone gets to 60, he's becoming frail, he's becoming weak. And that's why we are saying he's becoming vulnerable to a number of things. One, poverty. When we look at the older person, we see that old age brings a high risk of poverty. This person used to work, but he has reached 60. Those who are in the formal sector no longer work, no longer receive the salary. Those who are in the informal, their energies have gone down. They no longer run, they no longer foot like they used to do. But remember, like Jonah said, they had families. They have grandchildren. So we see that old age come with poverty. Then another thing, so that means they are vulnerable to poverty. At the same time, they are vulnerable to neglect. We people, as we grow, we leave their homes, we come to Kampala. Most of us have come to Kampala. We have left our mothers and our fathers in our Rosetta, meaning therefore that these older persons have been neglected. They have to fend for themselves. For us, we just go there in a minute. I've come to see you, I'm going back. The older persons don't need the money, they need our presence. So we have neglected them. Not only neglecting them, but there is an abuse. There is what we call elder abuse. The older persons have been abused. How are the older persons been abused? We have grabbed their property. We imagine that as one grows up, he's not entitled to property. So that financial right is withdrawn from him. And in African setup, you find that as one grows up, especially the women, that if a woman is of gray hair, she's a witch. Yet, if they see an older man like my chairman, he's that wisdom. So the older women they become vulnerable, as opposed to the men. And because of that vulnerability, we are saying we should come up to support.
And the physical frailty brings in susceptibility to diseases.
And by the way, as we grow, as one grows, it has been estimated that 15% of persons with disabilities, the disability is coming as a result of age. That's when one will stop. That's when one becomes blind. As you grow, the blindness comes. Then the physical, one cannot walk. All the hearing, all that come as a result of age. So we need to support them.
Okay, just a pause on that. So I think it's well explicated that I believe every viewer who is watching right now is understanding what we're trying to address, that we need to give special attention to our elderly or to the older persons who are above the age of 60 because of the risks that are facing them. And before we continue into a detailed discussion, let's go for a short break and we'll be right back.
Are you interested in networking with women entrepreneurs across the region, or interested in speaking to a business expert on how to start or grow your business? Rising Woman brings you the biggest business expo ever in East Africa this November. Come check out products and services that business women across the region have to offer. Network, have lots of fun, and learn from the business clinics that will cover topics including taking your business to the next level, selling, embracing social media platforms to grow your business, and juggling business and family. The expo will take place on the 16th and 17th of November 2018 at Hotel Africana People's Space. To enter, simply buy a copy of the Daily Monitor at the entrance. Rising Woman, taking your business ahead. Rising Woman Business Expo is made possible by Daily Monitor in partnership with DFCU's Women in Business Program and Uganda Investment Authority.
Connect with the dopest show, hottest entertainment news, and home to great hits. Catch up with your favorite celebrity, exclusive interviews, behind the scenes and performances. It's fresh, funky, and fun. It's NTV The Beat. Monday to Friday, 5 p.m. with Daggin Eyes, Tracy, DJ Brian, Dash, Baby Love, and Sheila. When you think show business, think The Beat.
The Speaker of NTV People's Parliament, in partnership with Action for Development, ACFOD, invites the people of Lamu and neighboring districts for a session of NTV People's Parliament at the Lamu District Council Hall on Friday, 16th November at 9 a.m. The discussion will be on the implementation and appropriate resourcing of the Domestic Violence Act 2010 and the National Policy of Elimination of Gender-Based Violence in Uganda. Kindly keep time.
Thanks for keeping with us. I'm Karaga Bordens, and we're coming to you live from the Kampala Syrian International Conference Center, and we're discussing a phenomenon that really is pertinent to all of us as citizens of the world, and Uganda in particular, and we're talking about the vulnerabilities, the risks that the elderly persons above 60 years are facing in this nation. And we put a question on our social media handles, particularly Facebook, and we've asked, what is your opinion? Should government really intervene? Should we have a deliberate support to this age group? And Zay Wera Joshua, I don't know whether Mzee is actually above 60. He said, being elder is all about being prepared for it. Those who didn't invest wisely suffer a lot. And here the gentleman make a response to that. And so, John, a total of 151 and 178 older persons from 47 districts. That's the report that we got of the recent meeting that we had in Shema, celebrating the Elderly Day, the Elders' Day. For older persons. Yes, for older persons. And these people are given a monthly stipend from the Social Assistance Grants for Empowerment scheme, and through which older persons are provided 25,000 shillings per month. Hopefully it's actually getting to them direct. And so the government, through the presidential declaration, says that there is going to be an increment of this to be added onto this. Now, I just need us to talk about this in particular, the Social Assistance Grants for Empowerment. It's called SAGE. It's acronymized as SAGE scheme. That's how has it worked in the support of the elderly people's plight, just specifically that intervention by government?
Okay, let me take that one on. SAGE, as you know, was started by a cabinet decision of 2010. The cabinet agreed that it would introduce this program called SAGE. Now, to put it in context, SAGE is a component of the wider social protection. Now, social protection is actually a contract between the government and its citizens, yes, where the government addresses the needs of the citizens where they are wanting. Now, SAGE happens to address income insecurity among older persons, because under the social protection policy, it has got two pillars. One is income, and the other one is social care and social support. Now, SAGE addresses the plight of the older persons to try and make them income secure in their old age, to bring back their esteem, to help them. Now, what SAGE has done is that it was introduced in 2011, in 14 districts, 14 pilot districts. In 2014, Yumbe was added on under presidential directive, and they became 14 districts, up to the end of 2015, when phase 1 of the SAGE project ended. Now, this has been one of the most successful government projects everywhere it is being operated. And it's a project that has worked so well and has impacted not only the lives of the people who receive that money, but also in the communities where that program is being implemented, on the local economy, because all the money paid out to the particular individuals remain within their localities. So the shopkeepers can stock more, the people have buying power, and how it is spent, research has been done. A lot of this money goes into caring for grandchildren. Their scholastic needs, their, materials, food, nutrition, and then it also helps the older persons to access transport to hospital in case of sicknesses. Now, a lot of people seem to think 25,000 is too little. It's a small money in Kampala. Next door here in the where we are now, you cannot even have a meal on that amount.
Absolutely, 40,000 plus.
Yes, but you go to the rural villages, where when you give somebody 1,000, they compose a song in your name. Now you're giving them 50,000 lumps up for 2 months, and they know how to use it. Now, they have formed, for instance, groups among themselves. If we are 5 older persons receiving that amount, we can decide, I will keep 10,000, but the 40,000 each we lump and give it to one person. You will find people have animals, cows. People have roofed houses with corrugated iron. People have sent children to school, all on that money. 25,000, which for us, you go next door and blow it in 2 minutes. It's not there. But what it has done for the people, you said 40-something districts, just to put it correctly.
No, 47.
It is actually 57 now.
Yeah, 57 now. Because of the addition of the and now what it has done, it is reaching 157,718 beneficiaries in these 57 districts. Our small problem has been, how about the rest of the districts? Uganda has got, now I don't know how many districts. 130 something. Okay, that means I've really personally lost count of that.
So how we are going to get there?
Yes.
Some time ago, the minister announced there was going to be a national rollout. So for us as council, we said, good, now at least it will cover the whole country.
Okay.
But in financial year 2019-2020, it's not allocated.
Yes.
It's not there. So we don't expect a national rollout until, except if more money is made available to government. But what is happening is that the coming financial year, another 5 districts are going to come on board.
Yes.
So 5 plus 50, we hope,
57,
by 2020,
62.
we will have 62.
Yeah.
Less than half of the number of districts we have in this country.
Okay, thanks, John. So let me just bring in the issue, the extended issue, the historicity of our culture here.
If you'll allow me, only just a small one. Just a small one. It was, when it started, it was 60 years old in Karamoja because of their living style, and 65 in the rest of the districts. Yes. But then recently, government said, no, we should at least pick the oldest 100 per sub-county and pay those. Again, they changed around and said, no, now we are going to pay the oldest 80 and above to reach. So we begin wondering how many 80 and aboves
existing.
Yes.
Yeah, and now let me just bring a counter argument, question literally to Joram. Let me first give you the figures. Of course, as a nation, our population standing, we are 44.7 million Ugandans, and as by November, literally 2018, and the median age of the entire population is 15.9 years. Okay, the Uganda population is equivalent to 0.58% of the total world population, and we rank 32nd in population terms, and the population density is 200. Just giving facts to our viewers. But let's bring in the cultural aspect. Historically, we are known, and of course Africa as a whole, as to be culturally embracing the elderly, that we are supposed to take care of them. I think Patrick alluded to it. What went wrong? Why don't we still have these social safety nets and a program that is naturally bred and inherent to support these elderly of ours? What is happening?
Thank you very much, Borin. It's a good question, and definitely you are right. In this country, we no longer respect culture. There are many other factors that have brought this, I suppose. One is poverty in this country. Some time back, you know, our children used to earn money, lost more at that time. Then it would maintain the parents and the grandparents and the rest of it. But these days, the inflation has eaten up what these children of ours get. And we have even imported culture from other places like these European countries, where when the children attain the age of 18, then they can go away and leave their parents alone. In this country, in Uganda and in Africa in general, we are lucky that our children would take care of these old, elderly or older persons. Now, because of what is happening, I think economically, we are no longer doing that one. We have also, the children have now moved to urban centers, and to go back to the village becomes a big problem. Mr. Paul, you might know, some of our parents, when they come to visit us in Kampala, and some of the children at times they don't cater fully for their parents because of culture. You know, when parents come, some of them are made to sleep in boys' quarters, others are not well treated. But I think economically we have had a problem. Secondly, the fiber of this country, of our people in this country, I think I'm talking about the courage, not culture, but the credibility, the mentality of our society has now gone berserk. You know, as you have rightly reported, children use it to cater for their parents. But these days, they want even as we went to regions to meet some of these our fellow older persons, they were telling us stories where children are even snatching the property of their parents. How their parents they want to snatch everything so that the parents have nothing to cater for, and to cater for the Bazukuru. The Bazukuru now are suffering because the HIV/AIDS has brought in a problem.
Yeah, population December. But let me just, Joram, if because let's not also skew it to one side. Just in maybe 30 seconds to respond to this. Is there also a contribution to the elderly that have been parents that have not parented their own children, that the children do not find themselves really obliged to take care of the elderly?
It is true. It is true. Some parents are not caring for their children, and it has been a problem. Some of us, are involved in cultures that are foreign to us. For example, people going, shall I call it, being naked, dressing in short, putting on short dresses, scanted dresses. That one, it can't be a role model as a parent.
So also the parents have a role that they're played to. So let me get to Patrick, just to expand on the contribution, because I don't want to ignore much of it, of government under the social assistance grants for empowerment. Is it only financial, or are there other interventions that are packaged in these social protection measures that the government has put? What other things are being propounded to actually give more support to this age group?
Thank you so much, Brodwin. Possibly before I can attack my I just wanted to just supplement on Joram's contribution.
Yes.
As a result of the breakdown of our culture, we are, even in Uganda here, we are institutionalizing older persons.
Exactly, yes. Institutionalizing, that means taking them in certain homes.
We are putting them in homes. Meaning that if I get tired of my
commercial
mother,
homes, actually. It's like quarantining.
I get tired of my mother, I take her in what? In a home.
Commercial home.
That is not our culture, ideally. So, broadly going to our, is it government? You know, like Jonas said, SAGE is only for income security. So what government is doing now is only government
income interventions.
Income interventions. However, if I give you money alone, you're not full. You're not a full person. We need the psychological support. And that's why in John's contribution, he has talked about the National Social Protection Policy. As the government of Uganda has come up with a social protection policy, where the social protection policy is talking about the social care. That is the psychological support. That, like I told you in my earlier submission, that our parents do not only need money, they need our presence. So, government, we should not only look at the money, we need to look at the social support. And as anybody watching us, someone who following us, we are calling upon the population to involve the older persons in their communities, to look after the older persons in their communities. We shall see an older person more healthy, more happier than he is given the 25,000. Even if you give the older person 1 million, so long as you are not caring, you are not going to visit, you are wasting your time. So we are talking about the social support, social protection, and the health. By the way, we need to emphasize the health insurance. Wherever I meet with John, he talks about, Patrick, what have we done with health insurance? Make sure that the older persons, that we have a health insurance policy where someone is insured. We have illnesses which are heavy, which cannot be afforded by an older person. So, if in case we came up with a health insurance, it will protect this person. In case of any illnesses, this person will be catered for. So, we are looking at to get a fully-fledged older person in his present day and a happier person. It is not only SAGE. We are talking about psychological support, social protection, health insurance, and the social care. Those are the things that I can possibly add in addition to the income security.
Maybe
yes, and I'm coming to you. You see, I need to understand where exclusivity to care for these people comes from, and really the justification sounds a bit compelling. However, I think, don't you think there's a bigger problem around us? First of all, you have a weak economic system that does not support lots of people to work. Because when you look at the working group that we have in demographic terms, it's just about 24%. So you have an economic disempowerment of the whole society. You have cultural breakdown, as you talked about. And So we need to ask, I'm asking you, are there certain other things, mechanisms that should be done preventatively so that these people, when we get into our old age, we do not suffer these things, both on personal level, like maybe 2 issues, and then government effort. As it's talking about healthcare system, if you don't have a proper healthcare system itself, a medical support system, insurance, if you do not have a strong economy, you're having an illusion that only this 25,000 shillings is going to do much.
That actually, recently we were discussing the issue of social insurance and medical insurance. Let me start, first of all, the issue you raised. I want to refer you to Section 34 of our Constitution. That section clearly states that parents are obliged to take care of their children. So that, where is the converse?
Yes, the reciprocity.
Exactly. Where is it? So the Constitution itself, starting with has got that loophole. It left the older persons out.
So you're implying that actually if the children were compelled to constitutionally to take care of the elderly, that it would even be legally binding that if you're not taking care of your old, that you can actually be either penalized through incarceration or through...
That already exists in some countries.
But in Uganda it is not there.
In Uganda it is not there. Then the other thing I wanted to point out, in line with what you are saying, you know, when you look at the older persons, most of them, the majority, 98%, are in the informal economy. Yeah?
True.
And they are not covered by any sort
of support, any kind of insurance.
Nothing at all. So recently we were debating, we were saying, how do policies reach those people in the informal economy? Our parents have been toiling in their gardens since we were born, without any pay. But nobody recognizes the contribution they make. Now, in old age, where even if you bring in medical insurance, which they can't afford anyway, because they don't have the money, people are dying simply because they don't have money. Medical insurance. Now, can't we devise a system where the country, for instance, can have a national medical insurance to cover everybody, but particularly those who have no access, who cannot pay for themselves? Those like you, I'm sure you have a scheme covering you, but how about your parents? So those are some of the things that we really need to look at. And that is where this social protection policy comes in very handy. If properly implemented, it would relieve some of those questions that you're asking.
Okay. So is there anything, like just one or two, that a person can do actually, if they can, out there, to prevent such risks, to give them some sort of prudent mechanisms that they can undertake to cushion themselves as individuals? If I'm now 50, are there certain things I can start to do now? Because I don't want us to make it.
I want
just 1 minute, please.
I want to come in here.
So that
surely for those who are working, who are being paid money, they must start saving some little, and they get involved in some projects that they can, where they can invest some of this money, because they should prepare for the old age.
Okay, so we need to make sure we have savings in some form. And
plan for it.
On that note, let me first go for a break. We come back and conclude this within about 15 minutes as we wrap up. Thanks our viewers for keeping with us on this very pertinent issue of discussion that regards our elderly citizens. Please, let's go for a break and I'll be back.
Show, hottest entertainment news, and home to great hits. Catch up with your favorite celebrity, exclusive interviews, behind the scenes and performances. It's fresh, funky, and fan. It's NTV The Beat. Monday to Friday, 5 p.m. with Daggin Eyes, Tracy, DJ Brian, Dash, Baby Love, and Sheila. When you think show business, think The Beat.
The Speaker of NTV People's Parliament, in partnership with Action for Development, ACFOD, invites the people of Lamu and neighboring districts for a session of NTV People's Parliament at the Lamu District Council Hall on Friday, 16th November at 9 a.m. The discussion will be on the implementation and appropriate resourcing of the Domestic Violence Act 2010 and the National Policy of Elimination of Gender-Based Violence in Uganda. Kindly keep time.
Politics bamujje mu security eggwanga lyaffe ligenda kukola ki kufuna obuzibu nze omuntu wa wansi atuula wansi ku ttaka ssebo nze ngenda okuweerera omwana oyo ng'onzimbidde essomero lya kalina
nene gavumenti oba eri munkwe etubuzaabuza tekutula eri awo tulage eno tulage eno esayidi katale akati abantu ate koona abantu basalinga baddeno nga baddeno emotoka zibakoone awantu atwaga gavumenti etekawo sente wetulaba ambulensi zetuzibira omuntu n'awulira akakombe ka ambulensi ng'ereeta mulwadde n'alemera mu kkubo.
Are elderly citizens, people who are above the age of 60 years. And we posted a question on our social media handles and on Facebook, which I have easy access to. I have Charles Lydia Seruwaji says that if the whole country, Uganda, is living in a positive life, who has interest in their help? The support should be given to all Ugandans because 75% of the national population is living in a negative life. Then Liz Solitaire says that our opinions don't matter. They do. I'm telling you, they do. There are people who are watching out there and they're policymakers, and something at least is communicated when we talk about this, and an effective response will be made, hopefully. And then second, lastly, Henry Tumugume says that there shouldn't be debate on this. Government should give them 100% care. And then Nyakojo Silva says that why not? These are the people who have financed the government all the years. They have lived through paying taxes until such an age that they can no longer work. And very positive opinions, Joram, when you listen to this. And so you have... you have support to this, and you have a national structure. Just once again, as we are in concluding mode of this discussion, and the article, the act itself sets the objectives that you are supposed to act as a coordinating body between government departments, other service providers, and other persons, to provide a structure through which free and fair elections of representatives of other persons will be conducted at any level of local governments. So just help us to understand how this National Council for the Elderly is comprised of. How do people access it? How people embedded and engaging is it?
Thank you very much. Right from the LC1, we have people, all the people who have been elected in positions. We, at each level, LC1, we have an executive of 5 people, comprising of men and women of 60 years and above. And as you go to the parish level, as you go to the sub-county, as you go to the district, these executives form a council. That council varies at different different positions. For example, at the sub-county or town council, it is composed of the 5 people I have talked about, the executive. You add on 2 representatives of the old male and female who go to the local council. They represent the old people at the local council. And in addition to that one, we have representatives of the one person, an eminent person in a society, is appointed by the chairperson LC3 to be on that council. We have a medical officer to be a member of that council, and we have also the cooperative office, community development officer on that council. They, at sub-county or town council, it is formed of 12 members of the council. When you move to the district, it is also composed of the 12 members, but this time the medical office is now the district health officer. Now, at the national level, where I am the chairperson, we have a council of 16 people. To each region, the original regions, the 4 regions of Uganda. Each one brings in one person, one male, and then a second one is a female and a male. Those are 8 members of the council. Then the minister, the Honorable Minister of Gender, Labour and Social Development, which is our mother ministry, they appoint one person, a medical doctor, who is in charge of the elderly, who has studied the diseases of the older persons. There is one person of gerontologist who has studied the well-being of the older persons. And then on that council, we have 5 major ministries which are represented: Ministry of Public Service, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Local Government, and then our mother ministry, Gender, Labour and Social Development. We have our headquarters in the Simbamanyo building, floor 4. We have a small office that we have been offered, but we are trying to get a bigger office. That's the structure there. But then, therefore, our members, the older persons at each level, can be served by the councils, by the executive committees that I have mentioned.
Okay.
And unfortunately, some of the act provided that when you move from one position to another, there should be replacement. But those have not been done by the Independent Electoral Commission because they are talking of having no funds. That is how our older persons can come in, and they are free. When we have such meetings, they are free to come, even those who are not on the committees. They can come and see what we discuss.
Okay, so the council is open to people, is democratic, and is very involving. Okay, Patrick, just thanks indeed, Jerome, on that. The challenges, and on this recent commemoration, is it commemoration? In Shema, he himself, Jerome, mentioned that you're appealing to government to provide more funds for operationalization of the councils, and you need about 300 million. And that seems to be a blatant challenge that is faced. What challenges, besides money, including money, that are you facing as a council, and what mechanisms are you having to make sure that you'll be able to have these challenges addressed?
Possibly you are saying what challenges
is the council facing? Yes, including monetary challenges.
Like a chair has pointed it out, the council, other than the national council, the other units, that is the district councils, the sub-county councils, and the parish councils, are supposed to be functional. That was our original idea. Like you have said, in one of the functions is to get issues right from the village up to the national level. But there is a break somewhere that these councils, because they are not facilitated, we don't have funds for these councils, then these councils, after at the district level to lower district levels, they are not functional because of finance. So as we are talking about the council being facilitated at national level, at lower councils, they are not functional. And he has also
and that makes it now very difficult to actually have people participation and natural growth through the
land. And the other thing is, he has already mentioned it, that when we carry, like Mr. Joram, he was elected at LC 1, at Council 1, and he became a chairperson. But all through, his position has not been filled. So there are gaps everywhere. Just see in Chisenyi here, that time I was in exchange. Even the Council for Older Persons is not there. They started from LC3. So that means we can't get issues of older persons from exchange. That was, as elections were taking place, very few people knew what they were doing. It was not well publicized. And because of that, some villages didn't elect their representatives. So there is that gap. Then, in addition to resources,
just one more.
We are having what we call ageism, the attitude. If you went to someone's office and you are talking about older person, this person says, old? Why, like the first person?
Yes.
He said, why? How come that they didn't plan when they were young? So that is the attitude you are talking about. So people are very negative about what they are talking about, of issues of aging. We are having issues with the medicines for older persons. In health centers, the older persons are competing. Currently, we are competing with diabetics, are competing with the young children. So the health practitioner will say, there is an older person of 90 suffering from diabetes. Then there is a younger boy of 16. Of the two, whom are you going to give the medicine?
Okay, that's an attitude issue. Patrick, just on that note, because I'm asked to be out of here, let me just get John one contribution. Just two plan issues, just enumeration. 1 minute, please, John. Just 2 minutes. Two issues you feel. Patrick, that was a brilliant contribution. It's just I'm getting out of it.
Let me mention more than two, but very, very quickly.
Okay, please.
The first one I want to encourage our people is, now that we have come out, you know that the older persons are there and their issues are available. Please listen to them. Our issues are not being addressed. Secondly, we want to encourage active aging, both among the older persons and the upcoming age groups. They must come into old age when they are healthy. That way they will remain healthy. Now, they must prepare, like has already been said earlier, preparing for retirement. For those who are working, at least. From the time you start work, you know that one day you are going to retire. So start preparing. So by the time you reach retirement age, you are open-minded about retiring. A lot of our retirees now are suffering because they were not mentally prepared for retirement. And that leads them to early death. Or avoiding going home because they know that setup. The other thing is we have no voice to speak for us in Parliament. The older persons are not represented in Parliament. All the other special interest groups are. Why are older persons not there? Who is speaking for?
Okay, I know that. Not John. Thanks. Yes, so we need representation even on the national level in Parliament. Of course, I believe that people out there, including Parliament, that can make sure that this happens if it so suits the interests of the nation's development. Thanks for keeping with us, Karagao Baldwins, and we're urging you, if you're a government agency there or a corporate institution or an NGO and you want something to focus on, particularly as a subject to discuss here on NTV in such a spectacular and comprehensive manner, please come talk to our general manager, our sales team, or myself. God bless, and the beat is the next.
The Timeline is brought to you by
Everywhere You Go. Go TV! Live it, love it!